I've never really understood what self-love really is. My whole life, and we all do, we get these messages, especially when I was younger, the self-help, healing, all that stuff was more focused on a very intellectual process, very basic, very superficial. So we're supposed to stand in front of the mirror and tell ourselves we love ourselves. But I didn't feel that way. I felt miserable, shameful, desperately traumatized. So much pain in my body. I could not be in my body. I was distracting myself. I was in my head. I was analyzing. I was escaping the fear and shame and pain that's in my body. Standing in front of a fucking mirror saying that I love you did nothing. It made it worse. It made no sense. What is there to love? Some of the worst advice out there is this self-love and compassion stuff in the way that it's expressed. All these problems that we have that are designed to protect us, like anger, irritation, judgment, any of these hardened outer core defense mechanisms that protect us from our own vulnerable emotions and protect people from us, these have a place. These come from when we have critical parents. My parents criticized me for everything. Didn't matter what I did was wrong or should be better or different or annoying. So I was just constantly having to monitor my own behavior. And in that process, I never got to individuate. I never found who I was or what I was because I could never communicate. So when this happens, when our parents do this to us, they are our jailers, right? But then we become our own jailers. Our own minds take on the voice of our parents and start to criticize us and everything around us. Judgment, criticism, irritation. And it protects us. We're vulnerable. We have a lot of vulnerable emotions that are difficult to deal with. So we become angry. We get harsh to ourselves. We want to do better. We want to avoid being punished or in pain or being judged by others. So we jail ourselves with this self-criticism. In my experience, there's only one way out of it. And an essential component to this is self-love, compassion. But it's not in the way that most people think. The first step to it is you need to give yourself absolute, eternal acceptance of how you feel in right now, this moment. If you are angry, if you are sad, if you are whatever, you need to say to yourself, it is okay to feel the way you feel. Sometimes I separate myself. I pretend that there's a all-loving entity and then there's a young, angry child called Ben. And I say to Ben, you have every right to be angry. I accept you for your anger. Be as angry as you need for as long as you need because you have every right. And I'm going to stay here with you. I'm not going to leave you. This is self-compassion and love, accepting yourself as you are. This is the gateway to where this leads. So allow yourself with never-ending patience and love to accept how you feel and feel it. This then leads to other things, other emotions, more vulnerable emotions like grief. And when I got there, I started to grieve. And what I noticed is while I was grieving, I would offer myself love and acceptance that I never got. the thing that I didn't get that allowed me to feel safe when I was a kid. To be able to grieve and feel these shameful, anxious, painful, grieving emotions. But I have to give it to myself now. So when the grief starts, imagine yourself being embraced by an all-seeing, wise, all-loving version of yourself. You could imagine an angel coming down and just holding you while you grieve, giving you nothing but love and acceptance, and wanting you and encouraging you and helping you to grieve as much as you need to. Feel the shame and imagine that there is an older version of you who is infinitely kind and patient and loving, being there with you, hugging you, wanting to feel the shame with you and allowing you to feel it as much as you need to for as long as you need to. This is self-love and compassion, and this is where its true value comes. Because we simply cannot heal without this. We can't heal without quenching the defensive mechanisms by accepting them and offering them allowance to be. Then underneath, we offer encouragement and love that never ends to ourselves. This is quite abstract, but for me, when I learnt this, I reached much deeper and new levels of grief and feeling of shame and all the emotions that I ever have. I got to express some very childish things through crying. The things that would come out were things about mummy and daddy and I'm sorry and lots of things like that. This is deeply, deeply healing, this process, but it needs the love that you never got in order to encourage it. Without it, it just simply won't work. Without it, there is no healing. Thanks, guys.